Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a proper garden tour. The first one of this year, actually. I've been doing these mostly weekly, casual, unedited garden strolls, so I haven't felt the need to do like a full garden tour, but I did want to do at least one this year so that I can actually, provide a little bit more information about specific plants, and you can get kind of a better idea if we go through the entire garden. And we're going to start this tour today underneath the banana. This is banana number 2, which is planted in my big 3-foot by 3-foot by 3-foot cube teak planter. And this thing is huge. In fact, this banana might be bigger than the original banana, which is planted in the ground, and we'll see that in a little bit. But this banana is going gangbusters. And I don't know if you can actually see how much taller it is than me. I don't know if we're actually all in the frame here, but I am 5'2", standing next to a 3-foot square plus a little bit, couple inches off the ground planter. So I'm going to say this thing is definitely pushing 11 feet from the box up. It's huge. These leaves are huge. It's amazing. So banana number 2 is just going gangbusters. Hello everyone. If you are new here, my name is Erin, the Impatient Gardener. I live and garden here in zone 5B, 6A. Technically, we just got switched to 6A, which is why I give you both of those. And welcome to my garden. Thank you for joining me here. Let's start with this garden tour. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a camera person today. The camera person has run away on me. So I'm not going to be able to be in the video, but I will certainly talk to you on the video, and I will be hanging on to the camera on the other side. Let's go take a look. So here's a wider view of sort of the entryway. The 2 pots that I did on either side of the driveway this year, I'm actually going to take you over to this one. This one looks not as good, but I'm very happy with how these turned out. This is just Golden Curls Willow. I think it's Compact Rose, Sun Patience, and then some Lemon Lime Helichrysum. I love the look of these. I'm really happy with how they've turned out, and I think this willow is a really fun thriller. And by the way, I picked them up at the big box store. They were very affordable. I think it's a really good way to do a thriller in a container, as long as you have room and need for some height. So one of the things that you'll notice is that this is not as full of flowers as it normally would be this time of year. The dahlias are just the slowest ever. It's the slowest year I've ever had for dahlias. And I also recently picked all of the flowers in the garden to make some bouquets for a family wedding. So we're a little light on flowers. I think the front border this year, which I planted mostly, it was supposed to be sort of lime greens and blues, sort of sections of blue. Pretty good. We're late in the season here. Obviously, I'm filming this on September 11th, and it's been incredibly dry for the past, month now. And we have no rain in the forecast. So you will see signs of how dry it's been. One of the plants I just want to point out here is this one. This is Plectranthus. What is it? Plectranthus green and gold, I think. This plant is so vigorous. I just keep hacking away at it and hacking away at it. It has not skipped a beat in the heat. In fact, I will show you another spot where I just stuck cuttings of it in the ground and walked away like 2 weeks ago, and they took already. So I think you just have to know that when you plant Plectranthus, and this one seems particularly vigorous, you just got to know that you're going to be pruning it to keep it sort of in check. You can see like this one did not get pruned as much as the others, and it's really quite rangy. Here's the window box. Growing up the sides there is Fiona Sunrise Jasmine, which I love that chartreuse look. I wish there was a little bit more chartreuse kind of coming through. I do have some helichrysum in there, but some of it, particularly on the left side, seems to have sort of pooped out a little bit. This is Hamari Gold dahlia here. That's a nice one. It's pretty. I am very close to harvesting some figs off my Little Miss Figgy fig. So this border is always, this is always chaos, controlled chaos. And that's how I want this border. It is as jam-packed as you can be. I love to stick all kinds of things in there. I've got, there are hydrangeas in the back here. There's a whole row. There's five Tiny Tough Stuff hydrangeas here. By the way, when you see, it looks like white dust on there. Last night I kind of over mixed my deer repellent, so that's deer repellent on there. It's not any kind of mildew, and unfortunately it kind of took the color off of a few blooms, which rarely happens for me. It just, I kind of over mixed a little bit. So I have shrubs in here. Behind that we've got a Kinsley's Ghost honeysuckle, and then I've got Amsonia in there, and there is some Sanguisorba in there. And then along the front, I like to mix it up, and I'm very happy with how the front of this border turned out this year. This Euphorbia Ascot Rainbow came back for me. It's always sort of questionably hardy here. We had a very mild winter. It all came back. It is such a good plant. I'm really a fan, and I hope it keeps coming back for me. But if it doesn't, it grows very well as an annual as well. And then kind of the main feature here this year, I've got three. I'll show you the third one is kind of over here, hiding a little bit. When you look at it straight on, you see all three of them. This is Mangave Navajo Princess. And these are actually, I just measured them yesterday. They are 3 feet across from tip to tip. Not that you can really tell that. This one is the easiest one to see because all the plants around it have grown. But they're about 18 inches tall, 3 feet from tip to tip. I measured them because I'm actually going to rent space in a greenhouse to store them over winter because I want to make sure I can keep them, and they're a little bit too big for keeping in my house. Then I have a Biden's, and I don't know which one this is. I could not get my hands on the Proven Winners one. This is a different one. I think this is by Danziger. It took a long time to get going, but each one of these is a single 4-inch pot. And so you can see that they got huge, and they've once we got some heat, they really started blooming. And then and you wouldn't know it because again, the plants have grown so much here, and then I planted, this is just bedding alyssum down here, which is, I will do again. I really like how it looks, and it has kept it quite tidy. We've had very little sort of overlap onto the patio until recently when the Bidens really, really got going. So I really love the structure of those Mangaves. Unfortunately, this got the deer treatment last night, but this is Hudson River Clematis, and these are just sprawling around here. They've been blooming all year for me, and I haven't done any sort of deadheading on them or anything, and I just kind of let them ramble throughout the front of this bed. In the front here, all of these dahlias in the front are Crichton Honey. This one is not fully open. In fact, I just deadheaded, so you don't see too many of those. This is a new to me dahlia this year, and it's really beautiful. Really love this dahlia. And this is also another new dahlia for me this year. This is Sandia Brocade. I wouldn't say it has bloomed a ton for me, but I very much like it. Over on this side, you can just see a lot of Salvia argentea, the silver plant along the bottom there. That's all grown from seed. It will come back for me. I like to grow new ones from seed to supplement, and they always look a little fresher than the other ones do, than the ones that have returned. Of course, we have a large limelight hydrangea here. This guy has been with me for at least 15 years, but probably more like 18. And below that, this is Popstar hydrangea. Now, again, unfortunately, this was looking so good, and the deer repellent really did a number. So don't overmix your deer repellent, because I've never actually had this happen ever before for me. So just be a little careful that you pay attention to how much you're putting in. I put a lot in because I wanted extra protection. This dahlia is waltzing Matilda, and we'll see some more of these. The flowers do not last for long, but they're this beautiful kind of raspberry with peach in them kind of color, and they're really beautiful. This kind of wiry stemmed thing that is extraordinarily difficult to show you on camera is Verbena Bampton, which actually reseeds itself around the garden now. I've tried several times to start it from seed. It can be challenging to start from seed. If you can find a plant, at least for me, it reseeds readily, and then I move the seedlings around the garden. But it's a nice airy texture. It's very interesting. A lot of people don't know this plant. Most people ask questions about it when they see it. It's a nice texture contrast in the garden. And I assure you that if it doesn't look like much on the video, it's better in person. This area has been a bit of a challenge this year. I lost a lot of the plants that were in this garden. I've had a very bad year with jumping worms, which I've had in my garden for many years now. But jumping worms, they hatch very well when it's very wet. And during the time when those cocoons would be hatching this year, we had a lot of rain. And so I think we had just an epic hatch of cocoons that had been laying latent in the soil for many years. The main plant that you see here, by the way, is Velosa. This is Heuchera Velosa Autumn Bride. And these flowers are so pretty on it. And what I just learned this week is that these make excellent bouquets. They held up so well in bouquets. They were so pretty in bouquets. So think about using these as cut flowers. They are really, really pretty. So the sad news here is that our serviceberry, which has a lot of sentimental value for us. It's the very first tree we planted here. It was bought for us by my late mother-in-law, and it has not been doing well for a number of years. Because we had so much rain this spring, all of the serviceberries are just laden with cedar apple rust. Well, anyone that's near a cedar tree. There's just it was just a very bad year for that. But I do have a clematis that kind of grows through it a little bit. This is called Gravetie Beauty, and it's always sort of fun to have, and you can see like this one's all full of buds here, so this will be quite pretty. So there's at least something here. You can see there's another one of these Verbena Bamptons on the left side of this path here too. So this is an area where I grow a lot of Veronica. White Wands is in here. There are several, and they've all been cut back, and they're getting ready to, some of them are reblooming or have already. This is Skyward Pink. It's much larger than that White Wand series. It is the best performing Veronica I've ever had in my life. It's amazing. Now there's a Skyward Blue coming out, I believe, next year, which is a Darwin perennials plant. Really superior Veronica, although this White Wands, which you see down here, is also very good. Here's Ringo Rose. The roses are actually looking better now than they have all year. So I actually think like roses do better here in late summer to fall, because we're just too cold in spring, I think, for them to look good. Some of the things in this border, with a little bit of me picking little bad bits out would be good. This is one of the mouse ears or mouse hostas. I think this is church mouse. I've got blue mouse ears. That even might be blue mouse right there. These do very well and seem to be immune from damage from rabbits and deer. So I don't know what it is. Those little flowers apparently do well. This is kind of a nice little view right here. Just to take a quick look at these containers. You wouldn't know it, but there are yellow begonias hiding in this container. The vine that you see at the top is Fatshedera. I like to call it Fatshedera. Angiostar, which is not hardy here, but last year I brought it in and grew it as a houseplant, brought it out, put it back in here, and it's probably tripled in size. This is a combination between Hedera, which is English ivy, and Fatsia. And it's a lot of bang for your buck there. And then over here is Ruby Ruffles Patio Peach, which came very small and has put on a little bit of growth. And I underplanted it with a begonia. I don't know which one. The grass that you see in there is Carrick's Flocka Blue Zinger, which I dug up from the shade garden, and then some wire vine in it. So as we move along here, along the garage, that vine is climbing hydrangea. It got beat. It got a lot of damage from Japanese beetles for the first time ever this year. It was just kind of one of those years when if something was going to attack something, it was going to be this year. There's quite a lot packed in this front corner here. The pink sedum is neon sedum. It's flopping a little bit. In fact, you'll see that it's opened up in the center. And there's a number of reasons why sedum can do this, but since I don't water this area much and I don't fertilize this area, it's not that. So what I should have done and what I made a note on my phone to do was cut it back or pinch it back by a third to a half, probably in like mid-June next year. That will keep them from flopping. They'll bloom a little later, but that will help prevent flopping. Along the front of this, I have Queen Tut papyrus grass planted, and this is an annual here, but it offers the nicest little texture contrast. And then I've got several tiny quickfire hydrangeas planted right in the front here. That's what I like about these tiny compact shrubs, is that you bring those right to the front of the border. There is an aster that has flopped, also should have gotten the cut back by half treatment. But here it is, it's just starting to bloom. You can see the little flowers on it. So that will fill up this whole area, be very pretty. Then I've got a few zinnias, handful of dahlias. This is Karma Lagoon. It's kind of a water lily form. Very pretty now. This is one of the first blooms, which is why it's kind of nestled down in the foliage like that. I will cut that quite deep, and then the next flowers that come, assuming we're lucky enough to have more flowers, that our weather stays nice and warm, those should be above the foliage. Dark foliage right there is Eclipse hydrangea. I just planted that, and there won't be any blooms this year. I don't expect anyway. If you look in the back, let's back up here. The trees in the back are my European hornbeam hedge. I think there's maybe, I don't know what there are, 12 of them now maybe. Doing very, very well. Finally starting to bulk up and actually form a proper hedge. I've been pruning them really quite aggressively to try to thicken them up because I wanted a nice thick wall of plants. When we come around the corner here, I think you'll see it a little bit better. There are two hydrangeas here, quite obviously. The one on the right is Quickfire, and the one on the left, I believe, is Firelight. They're both really pretty, and they're both looking quite nice. This is your very, this is your basic Autumn Joy sedum, so you can see the difference in flower color between the neon. This is just a little shade garden that manages to live underneath about an 80-foot tall Norway spruce. I will take you all the way up there. By far the biggest tree on our property. It's huge and dry. So these plants manage to do this. I do throw in a little bit of like a sprinkler every once in a while, but we've got Diane Claire pulmonaria is kind of the white plant. Some ajuga. This is black scallop. It's a bit of an aggressive ajuga. Not really a problem in my area, but I would not recommend planting that one in an area where ajuga has a tendency to get aggressive, because I noticed that's far more aggressive than chocolate chip, which is another variety I like. A whole bunch of geranium macrorrhizum in there as well. So this is banana number one. This is the original banana, and it's shorter than the other one, but it's doing really well here, and I love it here in this corner of the ground. And I tended to go a little tropical over here, but it got really, it got really crazy over here. So there's some dahlias planted in there. They haven't actually bloomed yet, so I don't know what they're going to be. Also, I've stuck some gladiolus in there, which have been flopping like crazy, but they're beautiful. I think I cut some of these actually for those bouquets I was making. I actually think those Proven Winners has started doing packaged bulbs, like a color package of bulbs, and I believe that's from that mix. The hydrangea right here is Haas Halo. Behind that we've got 3 more limelights. Last year I redid this corner of the border, and this is all El Camilo Mollis, Lady's Mantle in here. There are some Nepidas which have been cut back and rebloomed twice. I don't expect I'll get another bloom out of them. Kind of mingled in there as well. So one of the things you'll see that is looking quite rough here is this. This is Aurelia Silver Umbrella, which is one of the things in my garden that always looks good, and even that is just really suffering badly this year. Planted it in 2015. It was a foot tall. It's just done outstandingly well here. It is a grafted Aurelia, and it's variegated. I don't know if you can even tell that because it's so sort of sharp, but you can see the variegation on the leaves. It gets really pretty flowers on it. Really interesting, wonderful plant. Very difficult to find. Please excuse the hoses that are sticking out because I am moving sprinklers all over the yard all the time. So this garden, it's kind of one of those spots in the garden that doesn't get a lot of attention and could use some more attention. But just today, Diamond Rouge hydrangea was planted here. This, I think, is Quick Fire Fab, I think. Both of which need more, well, the Quick Fire Fab shouldn't be judged. It needs more attention than it got here. Soil is quite sandy over here, so I really need to work on bulking that up. This garden is quite past its prime. These were all blooming phlox here, which is a bit of a challenge with the deer. And I really kind of cleaned this garden out. There was a lot of lamium growing in it. You can still see there's some, but it really needed a bit of a clean out. And in fact, we cleaned out this whole corner, and I've got a whole planting that's going to go, well, basically everywhere you see that bare area there. Some of the lamb's ear will probably go away there as well. This is a garden that was hit very badly by jumping worm problems last year. So about 75% of the plants that I had planted in this garden died. So I did a lot of replanting here this year, and really with an aim to establish plants with very thick roots or very deep roots. Anything with sort of surface roots is probably going to get taken out by jumping worms. But I did put some dahlias in here, and this is actually one of the ones that came in the Proven Winners pack with all their bulbs. Isn't it beautiful? I guess I'll have to, I don't know if there was a way to look if there were names on those or not, but it's gorgeous, and I love a ball dahlia. This is Cornell Bronze, which is always a perennial favorite for me. It's I can't get over the ball dahlias. They're always good. In the middle there, that foliage that you see, and then I leave the seed pods standing because I think they're cool. That's Phlomis. I think it's Phlomis fructosa. I have tried Phlomis russellinii in the past. It's not worked for me. And then I put some more Persicaria in here, and it's Happy. And this might be Orange Fields. I like Persicaria. I really am happy with that. So let's keep moving around the corner here, and then I'll turn around and face the other way. This is the hot border, which is not looking particularly hot. There's a little bit of heat left in it, but a lot of the hot plants like the Crocosmia did not bloom for me this year. So it was a bit of a challenge here. I love this Helenium. I think this is salsa something, maybe just salsa. Helenium's a great plant. I really like it a lot. Over here is Mahogany Splendor hibiscus, grown from seed. Really beautiful. And next to that is a very small castor bean, which should have grown more and didn't. And it's kind of funny how those two look so similar. So if you want castor bean, but you don't want to deal with the fact that it's extraordinarily poisonous, maybe think about planting some of that mahogany splendor hibiscus. The plant behind it that you see, which is all budding up, is Acontium monkshood. That will be beautiful. That's one of the last things to bloom in the garden, so that will be quite pretty. If there's a high point, I think it's the left side of this path, which I'm very happy with. The Autumn Bride heuchera is such an interesting plant in here. Then I've got it mixed with Heculicloa, all gold. There's a little bit of Dark Side of the Moon Astilbe in here, and then there is Boom Chocolata geranium in there, which is good. This area, as you can see, we've been talking about this in some of the garden strolls, just decimated by the deer. Nothing you can do about it, so it is what it is. Underplanted underneath this Japanese maple here is Canadian ginger, which is a wonderful ground cover. We're going to flip that way in a second, but you hopefully have seen the video. Something new is here. Obviously, you can tell this has changed quite a bit. We're trying to grow grass on the edge here. Calamintha Montrose White is still looking quite good. This is Tough Stuff hydrangea behind it, by the way, which is definitely done blooming. This also was really pretty in bouquets, so keep that in mind. So let's take a quick look at the circle garden. There are some really nice moments in here. First of all, last year I did this mass planting of Weigela Midnight Sun. Couldn't be happier with how it has turned out. I did stick some geranium cuttings in there, just between some of the plants. That won't be necessary soon, but the color on this has been outstanding all year, and the flowers are relatively insignificant, so don't grow this one if you're looking for really great flowers. But the color is gorgeous in it. Skyscraper salvia behind there. First time I've ever grown it, looking pretty good. In this dahlia area here, I've got two dahlias. This is Melody Dora, which has been just blooming its head off. And then behind that we've got the single is HS First Kiss. And the two make a really good combination because they're exactly the same color palette and pretty much the same height, but nice little texture difference. And of course the HS First Kiss is a darker foliage. We've been getting some rebloom from the clematis here. This is Star River. This is quite small and rather pathetic looking. I don't really usually cut them back because I really do love the seed pods on them. This is Wild Magic Basil. I've been growing this for years. Usually I grow it in the front of the border. This year I moved it over here. It's edible, but I grow it strictly as an ornamental. I've got a few zinnias coming up through that. And then over here, this combination I'm really happy with. This is Mini Me Watermelon Coleus mixed with Surefire Cherry Cordial Begonia, and really good. Now I would say just in the past couple of weeks, the begonias have really shot up over the Coleus, but it's been a pretty good mix up until now between those two. So this is kind of the start of the shade border over here. This is just my little like reflecting water feature here. The grass in the front that it looks to be white is Feather Falls Carex. I did not expect this to come back as well as it came back. I have some of this in the front border with the dahlias, which is in full sun. It came back as well, and it's big. It looks really good. Really impressed with that one. Very pretty. So if you want kind of a variegated grass that it's looking, I would say the variegation right now is way more white than green, which it was earlier in the year. So just know that that changes a little bit. Good old Sun King Aurelia in the back. A lot of people know that plant. And a lot of people love that plant, and for darn good reason. Actually, despite how dry it's been, it's looking quite good. Right here is toad lilies, which are gonna bloom soon, which is exciting. Last year I had, for me, what was quite the coup, and I got a perennial begonia to grow here. I have another one over there that's growing too. And I hope they stay happy. Apparently they seed around quite, I don't want to say aggressively, but quite happily. The begonias that you see in the back there are just annual begonias that I filled in an area where I started removing the lily of the valley. So all of this golden yellow to glowing orange in the evening sun plant is, I think this is, it's ligularia, it might be dentatum. Desdemona is the variety. Beautiful purple leaves. It's a bog plant. Much of this I actually dug up out of my sister-in-law's garden. And I've planted it along the edges of the creek because this area tends to get very weedy. So my goal here is to have these just take over along the edge because I like this plant. And I think it's can probably keep out some of these other things. So the only reason I have left these, well, actually, even though I don't like the color, it's nice to have some color in this area. So the main reason I've left these is that these are aggressive reseeders. So I'm actually gonna, take these flowers when they have seeds in them, and I'll just walk along the banks and just dump them on the banks so that we can get more of these. But yeah, my goal, I would love to have this whole creek lined with that. Turning around here, this is Roy's garden. It's super dry. It's really had a rough year. I feel bad about it because it looks so rough. But we've been making improvements to it, and I think next year's a new year. It'll look better. This is sort of a garden that was established 2 years ago, kind of alongside Roy's garden, but with far less planning. And this looks better right now just because I've had a sprinkler on it literally all day. So everything on it is actually perked up a little bit. This is another shade garden. This needs to be very deer resistant, and this needs to be very easy maintenance because I'm just not going to come out here that often. But just a couple of the plants that I think are looking really nice. One of them is this Russian cypress, microbiota. Really, I mean, this is a shrub. It's a shrub ground cover, and it looks really good here. One of the problems with this area is that this goes down to the creek. So I lost like if the creek is really running hard, this bank gets eroded. So there's a chunk of garden that I lost last year. So this is a challenge, and one of the things I'm trying to do is plant things along the edge to help stabilize this a little bit. I was shocked to find out that the deer will eat Japanese pedicites, butterbur, but it's a very cool plant. Plant with caution, it's aggressive. It's not invasive here. There's a variety that is invasive here. That one is not the invasive one, but it's aggressive. So we're coming around to the back side of an area we already looked at, but I did want to just walk you down the little path here. I kind of like this hidden path behind all these shrubs and stuff, but it's not the easiest place to grow things, to be honest. This is a plant that I'm going to add more of to my garden. This is Helleborus fetidus, the stinking hellebore, which has this beautiful foliage, and I believe gets very pretty flowers, although these have not flowered yet. And we just kind of come up here and we pop out on the corner of the house. So I did want to just quickly give you a view of the new shrub border that we planted last year. which for the most part is doing very well. I'm gonna actually, some of these hydrangeas are gonna get replaced with something else. Just not for, they look sad, by the way. I'm not watering them because I know they're coming out. Just for a change of pace, not because there's anything wrong with them. For the most part, this shrub border is, I think, looking really good. Now, we've got construction equipment. The neighbors have a very long construction project going on over there, so ignore the construction equipment. But the story behind this border here is that this is something we worked with our neighbors on. Actually, what we did was we had a whole line of, like, I don't know what they were, more than 50-foot tall cedar trees here. And they were shading our house. I was going to have to redo this whole garden along the patio because we had no sun at all anymore. This is south. I'm facing south right now. So we asked them, could we cut those trees down, which were all on their property, and plant a mixed shrub border here that will stay lower but be interesting and provide privacy for both of us. The other thing is that the cedar trees did not do a good job providing privacy because they were eaten up to 8 feet by the deer. So the place where you need privacy is ground level. So considering this was planted last year, I think in general it's looking very good. So we have had one problem here with this specific pagoda dogwood, which is that we have another one down there that's looking fine. This one gets absolutely hammered by the deer. So just, again, to give it a chance to just get its legs under it, we've put some netting under it, as well as sprayed it. Most of the plants in here that we planted, and I forget, there were over 100 plants in here, I believe, are doing really well. The exception is the aronia. Here, I think this is groundhog aronia. Seems unhappy. Not giving up on it, but it seems unhappy. All of the trees look good. I've got some more of that midnight sun weigela here. And we've had an ongoing weed issue here. Some of the mulch we used last year was clearly just absolutely laden with weed seeds. And we used some of that mulch, actually had broken down enough that it was essentially compost. We mixed some of that in. So we have an ongoing weed problem here that basically we created. This is one of 3 American hornbeams, fire spire hornbeams. They're looking quite good. This is the Swiss stone pine, which is, this one is called Twister. I wish it would grow faster, but you can't make plants grow faster than they're gonna grow. Probably, kind of the tree that I wanted the most in here. These 3 are all soft serve Chamaecyparis, or Camellia cypress, someone said to me once. Anyway, beautiful, beautiful trees. They stay pretty small. I think they only get like 8 to 10 feet tall. Love those trees. This is another Cornus moss here. And the reason why this has fruit is because now I have 2 of them. And so they get drupes on them, which are edible, apparently, but quite sour, I think. But here they are. Actually, this one is really loaded with them. The other one doesn't have as many. But, another little added bit of interest there. The shrub that you see along here is Clethra. There are 2 types, hummingbird and 16 candles. I think hummingbird is smaller. I love them all. I really fell in love with Clethra during this process. These are 3 Cupricina Norway spruces, which should get tall and not very wide. So this is like our main, we kind of lined up the plants for where we needed the most screening. These have grown, I can't even tell you how much these have grown in 1 year. In fact, if you look at the tops of them, I think you can see sort of how much growth they've gotten. When we bought these, the one in the middle was a 7-footer, sold to us as a 7-footer, and the other 2 were sold to us as 6-footers. And I would say they're 11 feet tall if you go up to the top of that spire now. This is another pagoda dogwood here, which is far less deer browse. And then in front we've got Deervilla Kodiak Red, which got much bigger than I thought it would. and that's totally fine. And then we've got a hemlock down here, and the hemlock is beautiful. It does want a lot of water though, so I've been trying to stay on top of that. So this is you know, we planted this in May of last year, and I would say for not, you know, a year and a couple months of growth, I'm pretty happy with how this is looking. We did come in and add in some of the ground covers. By the way, one of the goals with this hedge was almost zero maintenance. So I was even reluctant to put the hydrangeas in, knowing that those would have to get pruned in spring. But basically this is meant to be zero maintenance. So I did put in some geranium macrorrhizum in here as a ground cover because I just got sick of looking at mulch. And then here's some more of that hardy plumbago in here. And you can actually see that the verbena Bampton actually just seeded itself over here. So I'm fine with the low maintenance ground cover idea as well, especially because hopefully it'll help keep, I think that we're going to be dealing with this weed situation for a while. By the way, several boxwoods in here as well. These are all skylight, better boxwood skylights. All have put on like a lot of growth. They're looking really, really good. The goal for those is probably won't prune those into any sort of trimming shape. Just let those be natural because this is meant to be kind of a natural area. Thank you. All right, thank you for coming along on this possibly too long garden tour. But we had a lot to cover, and it's the first one of the year, maybe the only one of the year now that we're in mid-September. If you liked it, please like this video and subscribe because that helps a lot. And we will see you soon. Make sure you check back. I will keep doing my unedited garden strolls as long as there's anything to show you. Those typically go up on Sunday mornings. Sometimes that changes a little bit. Best thing to do is to just subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know what I'm doing when. All right, have a great day in your garden. Bye-bye.